Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you a Halloween review and watch my messed up hair as I just take that off. Hope you guys had a good Halloween. Whether you went trick-or-treating, took your kids, stayed in, watched some horror flicks, or whatever. Hope you guys had a good night. And we're here to do a movie review on the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th. I definitely wanted to do some kind of at least some kind of horror movie review or video for Halloween, and I know it's technically the next day now where I'm at anyway, but I wanted to get something like that in. And like I said, this movie was released back in 2009, and it starred Jared Padalecki, of course, who plays Sam Winchester on Supernatural, so I also thought it was fitting for my channel to talk about this movie now, since I've gotten into Supernatural as much as I have. And Derek Mears as Jason. And of course it also starred Danielle Panabaker, Aaron Yu, Amanda Righetti, and Travis Van Winkle. But yeah, I remember seeing this movie in theaters back in 2009, and I have always been a major fan of Jason Voorhees. The first movie I actually seen, though, weirdly enough, was Freddy vs. Jason. But Freddy and Jason have always been my favorite serial killers. I still have a special attachment to Jason. Despite me perhaps growing a greater appreciation for Freddy, just due to reading Robert Englund's biography, sort of growing a great appreciation for the work put into it. I still have a major attachment to Jason, and like I said, I remember seeing this movie in theaters, and I actually really liked it. It's not great, it's not perfect or anything, but I did think it was good, and I honestly wish this movie would have gotten a direct sequel instead of getting another reboot within the next year or two. The plot is very simple. This movie sort of combines elements from some of the original Friday films, mainly part 1 through 3. It does have some references to some of the other ones, here and there throughout. Just really small things, though. And it does that pretty well, because we get to see Jason, with the sack, or the, the bag over his head in the beginning, which I actually think looks quite a bit creepier than it did in the original Part 2 film. Although Part 2 is a, decent film in the original series. I think the look of Jason in this one is creepier, because it looks more like it's wrapped around his head, and it just makes it look a little bit more real, I guess. And of course we see Jason don his hockey mask for the first time as well, which of course is an iconic moment. Although I will say I like the scene in Part 3 a little bit better than when he gets it in this one. But I do love the look of Jason in this movie. But before we talk more about him, let me just explain to you the basic premise of it. It's pretty simple, like I said. It opens with a bunch of teens getting killed, as it should really, and we have mine went blank for a second. But we have one of them being captured and actually kept alive, and this girl's name is Whitney, and we find out that it's because of her resemblance to Jason's mother, of course, being Pamela. And in this version, Jason actually sees his mother get decapitated, which of course just traumatizes his already messed up mind. And Whitney is captured, like I said, due to her resemblance, and this causes a character named Clay to go looking for her. And Clay is played by Jared Padalecki. Of course, I love him on Supernatural. And he does a good job in this movie, I feel like he didn't really get to flex much of his acting muscles in this movie. He comes off, just sort of like the typical good guy in the movie, really. But he is a fantastic actor. I just feel like he didn't get to show off much. But it is what it is. It's a horror movie with a body count. And it's still kind of fun to see a Supernatural guy in a movie like this. It definitely fits. And I'm also going to be reviewing a horror movie Jensen Ackles did called Devour at some point soon, too. But Jared Padalecki does, fairly well for what he's given in this movie. I think, not mind-blowing, but it's understandable for sure. And I have a Hello Kitty sticker on my shirt. My girlfriend must have put it there. Fun. Anyway, so he goes looking for his sister, of course, around Camp Crystal Lake. And then the other characters, of course, are just these partiers, just these college-aged kids hanging out. Of course, led by this rich kid named Trent, who, has his parents' cabin, just this trust fund douche type of character. He's going there with his girlfriend named Jenna, as well as some of his friends. He's also cheating on Jenna with this blonde bimbo named Brittany, or not Brittany, Bree, I should say. And that's how they all end up there together. And of course, when Clay goes looking around the area for his sister, passing around flyers and such, that's when he comes across the rest of the group. And that's pretty much a setup. And of course, Jason eventually shows up and starts laying them out one by one. So the premise is like any other Friday movie. I'm not going to give that much credit. It is what it is. It's a typical setup. As far as the before we talk about the kills, let me talk about Jason a little bit more. Like I said, I do love the look to him. I have the killer cut, by the way, which is cool. I do love the look to Jason in this movie. He's not like overly large, but he's like you can feel like the force of him. And I think that's something Derek Mears did very well with in this movie. Of course, I definitely appreciate Kane Hodder in Part 7 through, Jason X. And I also liked C.J. Graham, as well as the actors from Richard Brooker, and a couple others as well. But honestly, Derek Mears might be my favorite guy to play Jason, along with Kane Hodder. Because, of course, Kane Hodder introduced, like some of these subtle mannerisms that Jason is known for, like the head tilt and things like that. I did also like the interpretation of Jason and Freddy versus Jason, at least as far as he is written. Personally, anyway, I liked it. But we'll talk more about that in a video down the road. But I think Derek Mears did a great job in the role. Of course, not as much work goes into it as would like Freddy Krueger or anything like that. Of course, Robert Englund having to act out more, of course, with actually a speaking role. But they do a lot of good stunt work in this movie. And there is a certain physicality you have to bring to Jason, and I think Derek Mears really shined with that. You could feel how like violent and aggressive he is in this movie. Had to do with the way it was filmed, but also had to do with, again, what Derek Mears brought to it personally. And Derek Mears himself, if you watch interviews with him, he's a very calm, very nice, gentle guy, and so it's funny to see him like this. But he does a great job with it. And he was in other movies like The Hills Have Eyes too. I think I never seen that one, but I do really like him in the role. I like how Jason is done in this movie himself too. He's sort of written as a more realistic character, really. It's not as many like supernatural-esque elements. He's not like appearing out of nowhere. Well, he does kind of appear out of nowhere sometimes, but it's sort of explained how he gets around so quickly. And he's sort of shown to be more like a survivalist. He's not just like this undead thing just walking around, because he's done whatever. We see that he has these traps set up, which is really cool, I think. Like we see, he has this whole tunnel system, and he has like these little tripwires that ring these bells in the tunnel, so it alerts him to when people are walking around in his his territory. So I think that really was an intelligent thing to do, and made Jason come across pretty clever. He also has like bear traps set up and stuff, and we see that he is a pretty good archer. He shows a trophy in his room that he won as a child, apparently, and there's a pretty cool kill in the movie when there's this couple riding around on a boat, and one of them gets an arrow through the eye. So that is definitely a fun one. And so I think the addition to Jason's capabilities is pretty cool. And it also explains how he would survive for so long out there, too, I think. As far as, so I love Jason himself in this movie, but as far as the kills go, they were a bit, basic. Of course, some of the most creative kills I've seen in a slasher film, anyway, come from, like, the Nightmare films. So Jason never does things quite on that level, but I still feel like the kills in this were a bit simplistic, even compared to some of the earlier films. There are a couple memorable ones, though. Like I said, the bow and arrow kill, as well as what you see on the back of it here. You know, he throws an axe from like at least like 15-20 feet away and just nails the guy in the back. So that was a pretty brutal one. I like that. Besides that, there weren't really any memorable like deaths or anything, really, to be honest. Although there's this comic relief named Chewie, and he gets like a screwdriver driven into his neck, but again, pretty basic, and the whole ending to it, of course, Clay is able to eventually find his sister, chained up down there. He frees her. Jenna is unfortunately killed, and Clay and Jason do fight a little bit. Jason, just dominates the hell out of him, though. Might have been different if it was if he was Sam from Supernatural. He would have figured out something. But Clay is almost killed, but Whitney is able to distract Jason with a memory of his mother and just the image of her being kind of similar to her. I think they could have made her look a little bit closer to how the actress who played Pamela looked. But this sort of distracts Jason. This gives Whitney a chance to actually stab him through the chest with a machete. And they're also going to like this construction machine or something. I forget what it was, like this spinning spike thing. I don't know what it's called, I'm sorry. And it pulls Jason into it. It gets some of his head a little bit, and of course the stab through the chest with the machete supposedly puts him down. And then we see Whitney and Clay dump his body into the lake, and just as Clay goes to comfort Whitney, Jason bursts from the docks and grabs her again, and that's when the credits roll. People have debated that ending for a while. Some say it's a dream sequence, some say it wasn't, mainly due to Jason's mask being off, like the straps being broken, I think, and that's being shown floating to the bottom of the lake with him. So people wonder why he would have the mask on again all of a sudden. I don't know if it was meant to be a dream sequence or what. It probably was. But either way, Jason's not gone for good, So I wouldn't, disbelieve that ending either, or I'd at least believe that he would be coming back at some point. But overall, I do like the movie. I like how Jason is handled, both writing-wise and, like I said, the physicality and presence that Derek Mears brings to. I think he's one of the best to ever play him. Of course, I like seeing Jared Padalecki. I have a greater appreciation for him from Supernatural. The rest of the acting is okay. I wish the kills could have been more memorable, but I think it's one of the better remakes out there. Pretty simplistic, but it is what it is, and I did enjoy it. I'd give this movie like a C+, maybe B-, given what it is. I don't really compare things all the time. I just sort of gauge it on its own merits. But I'd give it about a C+, I think. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this movie, and I hope you guys had a good Halloween. Got home safe and everything. So I'll catch you guys from the next video, whenever that is. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe, and peace. I probably said that wrong, but